Hello, good morning, happy Thursday. How are you all doing today? I do have Zilby with me, so just got to figure out where he wants to end up. Oh, it looks like over there. Oh, okay, at the window. Let me fix the camera a little bit. That's where he'll be for a few minutes at least. All right, so last week on Thursday we played around with FusionAuth. Got some got some sort of like good knowledge with it, but not really enough for me to say that yes, I want to start like actually fully building my real apps with it. I want to, for example, migrate the LMS over to using it, or maybe start doing some like courses with it. I want to build something a little bit more real with it. Although it doesn't have to be like a full real project, I just want it to be something with it. So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and start figuring out what this project will be. So this was exploring FusionAuth. All right, we don't necessarily know what this is going to be called, so maybe I'll change the name a little bit later. I guess right now I'll just call this Fusion Project. And let's touch README. All right, Fusion Auth project. So really, this is just a project to use Fusion Auth with. And what are my requirements? So in order to sort of like get an idea about how Fusion Auth works for me, how I want to use it, and especially how it's going to work with the LMS, we have to have a specific stack, or at least some minimum things for stack. So first off, I want language to be Rust, so we're going to use Rust with it. Let's see, what else? I'm betting that it's going to be fairly easy to use this with Axum, so I'm going to be a little bit more interested in using U for this. So we're going to use U. Let's see. So it's going to be a web app of some kind. Now we need I want a database, and I want Husser on that too, because that's what I do use with the LMS. So we want Postgres database, and what we can do, we do something like this, which is language is going to be Rust. We have our framework, which is U. We have our data. So we're going to have Postgres as the database, and I want Hasura as sort of like the API on top of the database. We have authentication, which is going to be FusionAuth. What else would we put in here? I want, I think that's like the bare minimum that we want to go with here, right? So then other sort of like other requirements, we have, I want some kind of role-based system. So role-based, and that would be with 2 roles. I guess technically 3 roles. We'd have public as a role. So we'd have public. And then I want something like an admin, and then maybe just like a logged in or purchased or something like that. I don't want to say user. I still use that too often. I want like some kind of um owner or something, like somebody who is like authenticated and is doing something. Uh I'll just call it consumer for right now, but I want to change that based upon what we're building. Okay, so if we do role based, there's that. We have Hasura type stuff, so I can do some authentication there. Oh, I want to have local FusionAuth, and then deployed FusionAuth. So I'd love to be able to set up configure FusionAuth with some kind of like CI/CD, right? Do I want to do like necessarily testing type stuff? It would be probably nice to like verify that that works. So we can do we'll do playwright. Let's see. On a configure FusionAuth, role based, and I think I don't know if well, like there's very much else that we really care about this here. Okay, so based upon these requirements, what are options that we can build, right? So possible apps. So one thing I was thinking about, something that could like potentially come in handy or would be interesting for all of us to have, is a way to sort of like vote on which applications or which projects or which courses or something else that we work on next. And so that would be maybe like a project manager, which I really find kind of hilarious to name it that, because I don't think it's that much of a secret, but I'm not really big on project managers as like an individual full-time role at a company. And so having this here would be kind of funny. This would be I mean, it's just a sort of standard CRUD app, right? I can create projects to work on. And then I want to have the updates be people can log in and upvote which ones they want to see more. Maybe even can suggest ones for me to work on. That'd be pretty nice, right? So project manager, one that I consistently go over like multiple times, and I keep on doing it over and over again. Sort of like this games locker idea. Another CRUD based app. All of these are going to be CRUD based apps. Sylvie decided to just lay on the ground. And that would be very similar. It's like, hey, what games do I have? What games should I play next? Where are the games? Things like that, like an inventory system for games that I own. Let's see. So project manager, games locker. There's the good old sort of like standbys. That would be like a blog or a x/Reddit clone. Like those all sort of like have the same general idea too. And let's see, is there anything else that would be fun? If you have any suggestions, let me know, and we'll add it to the list. I looked over my list a little bit earlier. Let me look at it again. Let's see. So I do have a couple things about like putting some LLMs, like putting some front ends over LLMs. Uh, Constructor, Constrictor. Hello. How are you doing today? Identity aware proxy. Tell me more about that. What would an identity aware proxy be? Oh, like an API gateway that has access to some sort of ID service. Okay, so it's sort of like a smart API gateway for any. The only problem is I don't really have any services to then use that for, do I? I like the idea because it's basically, hey, are you allowed to hit this, right? Like, can you do something like this? It's almost like it forwards on maybe kind of like an interface for APIs, which is kind of ironic because the eye is already an interface, right? So it's an interface of interfaces. Yeah, exactly. Given a JOT, which you get through the authentication, and it could also be a front end for a variety of like little APIs. Like, okay, let's take. I have this one idea that I wrote down a long time ago, which was a AI based like fortune teller. So if I were to like if I say, all right, I want a little fly flying around my head bothering me, but I got him. Uh if I had like a little AI based fortune teller just running around doing its own little thing, it's maybe on like EC2 or ECS or something like that, then I don't want anybody to be able to call it. I want only authenticated users to be able to call it. And it exposes an API that then this thing can use and hit. So I guess this would be I do like identity aware proxy, which to rename it something that I'll remember what this is later. Identity. This is basically a centralized auth server, right? Like that's kind of what it is, right? This is a centralized auth server for a variety of other things. I do kind of like that, and if I remember correctly, this is a pattern that a lot of companies and organizations use. You have a centralized authentication service that then is used by everything else. So a user manager, if it were something. Yeah, you use it at work too. Okay. At my day job, we have one that I wrote. That one uses Auth0 behind the scenes. So obviously similar, but not exactly the same. GCP provides an IAP that controls your ingress. Nice. Yeah, so I could do something like this, and then technically that could then allow you to hit these, right? So let's say the flow of something like this would be user lands on app landing page, right? And then they decide, hey, I like this. I'm going to log in. So they click login. They navigate to the centralized auth server. So the IAP, they either create account or log in. They redirect back to the app. So they don't actually necessarily know really that they went over here. Like it doesn't necessarily feel that different than the app that they're on. And then they navigate back to the app and they use it as a logged in user. So that's kind of how this would work. Now, doing something like this would then allow me, as the admin, the owner of this site, or whoever owns this, to then manage users, right? So then I could log in directly to IAP, see list of users. I could then assign users to apps. So really this is just CRUD users, manage users. Yeah, I guess it's CRUD, right? So I can CRUD user access to apps. It's really just user access. What else could I do? I could just CRUD users at that point and just say like, hey, you're allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this. You're a great person. I love you. And you're not. You're being timed out or deleted or blacklisted. I don't forget what the term is. But basically make it so that you can't use it. You can't log in anymore. Yeah. So this is this is one of those like useful applications. This is one of those things that like actually helps out, and I would probably need to build one of these anyways, and so we can build a test one ourselves, and then either if it's good I can just use it, otherwise we can rebuild it again, but now knowing what we're doing to make it better. So I kind of really do like the idea of this, with each of these being little apps that could attach to it. So this is my favorite idea so far. What would be a good name for this? Do I want to just call it IAP or the centralized auth server, user manager, something like that, or should we have like a fun name that kind of makes sense? Still talks about like managing users, but maybe is a little bit more fun. Just call it I for identity. Let's see. Possible names. So we have I for identity. Obviously there is IAP. There is user manager. There is CAS for centralized auth server. Oh, IAP. Ooh, I like it. Hold on. What's the? That's not the right command. Nope, that's not right either. Oh, what's the thing on a Mac to bring up the emojis? There's a way to bring up the emoji list. I think I can do emojis with Alacrity here. I need to search up the shortcuts. I used to know this all the time. Control Command Space. Okay, so Control Command Space. That doesn't open over there. Oh, but it does open it here. Okay, so hold on. I want I. Kind of like this eye the most. Wait. That is an eye, right? It's like a dark eye. That kind of works. It's not. Oh, it's like an eye with something covering it. That doesn't look good at all. Okay, how about another one? Okay, that works. So I have I. Okay, Control Command Space. Yeah, thank you for that, constructor. Yeah. So what was the suggest? It was EyeAp. And so eyeball AP, but is there something? Is there an emoji that I can use for the equivalent of the aware proxy or authentication server or something like that? What would be a good emoji for that? Then I can just have emojis only for the entire title of the app. It's like IAP. I mean, that kind of also works, right? I could just do I space AP for maximum confusion. All right. Until then, we'll start with this as the name. I think that would be fun. So let's go ahead and rename this entire directory. All right, so this is Fusion project, and I'm gonna name this. I wonder if I can actually put the emoji in here like that. I think that would make things not work. So Fusion project to IAP. Arthur, hello. How are you doing today? Let's see. So let's go back into that. Oh, right, because I named it something else. IAP. There we go. I want to rename you. This one I can do. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can't paste a emoji into the title of the Zellage thing. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, so IAP. All right, so IAP. We have our requirements in here, but we can have like a little bit of a description. So IAP is a identity access proxy, I think. Is that what it's called? Identity aware proxy. You're doing fine. You're doing some boring stuff at work. Well, hopefully, we can help you get through all the boring stuff, and that it doesn't last too long. But sometimes boring is good, right? Okay, identity aware proxy. This application is will allow users of a variety of apps to log in, manage their accounts, and also allow the admin to manage users. Okay, so this first pass is going to be a learning project, meaning that the above won't be fully implemented, just enough to get an understanding of FusionAuth in a real environment. Okay, so we've got that. We have our requirements. We're going to use Rust. We're going to use U, Postgres and Hasura, FusionAuth, Playwright. We're going to have some role-based stuff. So we'll have public for anybody. Now, in this case, do I want... I guess we could use some public type stuff. We have the admin, which would be me. And then we have a consumer. And so because there's like a variety of different applications that they would have access to, I think in this case, user is the appropriate term for that. At least I don't have another one that's better. And then we want to configure FusionAuth. And what does that mean? So I want to configure it through CI/CD. So, or at least I want to be able to like seed FusionAuth. So, let's see, seed FusionAuth with some like defaults via a kickstart. So I think we found that like we have to use the kickstart file. Otherwise, every time we sort of like set things up for local dev, it's gonna suck. So we want to do that. And then you all go away. Okay, so this will be the plan. Let's see, requirements. Let's do some stories. All right, so what can we do? Like what should we be able to do as a user of this? Now, this is going to be focused on me and potentially like any users logging into it. But for the most part, users, as in, let's imagine it would be like me as the admin, you as the user, would not necessarily use this directly very often. It would mostly be like logging into like another application. So, let's see. I do want some kind of like landing page so we can see other applications that you can get. And in the case that you sort of like navigate to this, we want something to be there. So we can have a, as an unauthenticated user, I want to see a list of applications. Now, from the user side, so this is not necessarily the order that I really care about. I want to also be able to create an account. So like, generally speaking, the user should be able to CRUD their stuff, right? So as an unauthenticated user coming from an app, I want to create an account. I'm being specific here because this is sort of like how it's supposed to work. As an unauthenticated user coming from an app, I want to log in. Let's see, what other things do I want to do here? Okay, so create an account, log in. I want to log out. So then authenticated user want to log out. As an authenticated user, I want to disable my account. So that would be CRUD, right? I guess like we're missing update. So that might be something too. So as an authenticated user, I want to update my account details. I don't know what that means yet, but like whatever details we have in there, which might just be email, it might be username, or just, you know, first and last name, or it might be some other information that we have. Okay. And then I guess another thing is I want access to other applications, right? So as an authenticated user, I want to purchase an app. Or to be really specific, and especially with what we have like these days in life, is I want to purchase a license to use an app. Because that's kind of how it works these days, isn't it? There's no more owning of anything. We just purchase perpetual, or maybe not even perpetual, licenses to have access to something, and then hope that that company doesn't, you know, go bust. Or just change their mind. Sometimes that happens too. And I think I want to purchase a license to use an app. And then I guess like one last thing to make sure that they can use the app. So if there's something like sign in with Google, see which apps I have logged in, would be something good. Yeah, that could be that could be good too. Now, do I have that? So FusionAuth. Okay, so that's actually a really interesting idea. Because FusionAuth by default has global login. So if you log into one application, then you've logged into all the applications at the same time. And if I wanted to, I can change that. I can make it so you can log out and into very specific things as well. So that's more of like a business decision about how I want to do that. I almost feel that I'm not exactly sure how to track what devices they come from. I wonder if FusionAuth could tell me how many instances of logins, like how many browsers or something else. Because then you could like log out from something else. That would be okay. Let's create like a section for questions for FusionAuth. So I have access to some of FusionAuth staff, and so they can I can like send them some questions, and maybe they can get us some answers for this too. Obviously, it would be delayed, but we can start like coming up with these. So can I see a list of what would it be called? Like having like that list so as a user we're aware of, oh, I can access the site, or that one. Okay, yeah. So can I see a list of authenticated browsers? Right? Like authenticated sources, so I know that I've logged in. I'm currently logged in on N devices, right? Something like that, right? And then a follow-up question to that is, can I choose one to log out of? Schizophrenic web developer, hello. How are you doing today? Did I ditch the previous app where you're building? Oh, no, I haven't ditched the previous app. The managers, so the stream manager app is still under construction. I'm doing those on I'm sort of like doing two apps at the same time right now. I have like the first thing in the first app of the week is the stream manager app, and then this is part of my sort of like the course LMS and other stuff. This is not a replacement for the courses app, but I want to experiment and learn more about this authentication system, and I don't want to do that as part of the courses, so we're building out something separate right now, just so I can get a really good idea about how FusionAuth works. I might build a course for that and put it in that LMS for this. So that's something. All right, so I'm gonna ask that question here, but I don't know if I'm gonna have a list here for that, because I think I'll be able to see what applications they have access to and do that. And I don't really know. I don't think I want to like build this as a full app, if that makes sense. I just want to hit all these sort of like questions. But it is a good feature to have. As an authenticated user, I want to purchase a license to use an app. Okay, so then I want to use the app, right? So as an owner, as a license, so as an authenticated user with a license, I want to use an app. So that would be the equivalent of you've purchased access to this amazing app that we've created, and now you can use it, obviously. So, all right, that's everything from the user side, I believe. And then we have, so that's everything from unauthenticated, and then authenticated users, and then we have the admin, right? So as an admin, I want to see a list of users. Okay, I probably need to see a list of the applications too. Okay, so as an admin, I want to register a new app. Okay, so let's also, I want to build it manually, assign an app. So I want to assign a user to an app. I want to be able to do that for multiple apps, right? So as an admin, want to assign a user to multiple apps. As an admin, I want to remove a user from an app. Now, if this is something they paid for, I would need to in real life, I would need to refund them or give them something back, or like some like major reason for why I've just suddenly removed access to them. However, nobody's gonna be able to buy anything on this one, so I'm okay. Like the purchased, I'm going to make that just a free. Like I purchased totally. I promise. Okay, so I want to remove a user from an app. As an admin, I want to. Okay, so what's the other thing? So I want to. We have see a list of users. I want to remove a user. So remove a user. Should be able to update a user. And let's see, that's the CR. So we have create, update, and delete. Okay. Yeah, disable access is probably good. So I want to disable a user. Okay. I like that more. Is there anything else that I want to do here in order to to test the Fusion Auth side of things? Because I think this would give us a pretty good idea if we like Fusion Auth or not after all of this. Oh, you were thinking about having both, remove and disable. Ooh, I can see that. Okay, so we can have, I want to disable a user, I want to delete a user. All right, and we want to update. So we have CRUD for users. Apps I don't really care about full CRUD for them because they're not really the focus. And then users be able to do stuff with like a third-party app, or not a third-party app. It'd be like, what is it? Is it still a first-party app if it's like my own but second? That'd be second party, right? Confirm email account of users before create. Oh yeah, I like that. As an authenticated user, I need to confirm that that my email is valid when creating an app, when creating an account. Yeah, okay. I like that. Okay, so I think this is a good plan so far. Now, design-wise, I don't really think that I need something like super special for the design. I don't even know if I'm going to use much in a ways of like actually planning these out because this is a learning project, right? I don't really care that much. Like this is not going to be something that I necessarily need to sell with. It's more of like understanding how these technologies work. So what I'm thinking of is just really simple forms and links. That's pretty much all we're going to work on. But we're going to have everything in Docker as much as possible. That's the next thing that I want to do is I want to Dockerize the heck out of this. Can there be a team of admins? I bet there can be because I'm going to use this as a role based. So I want because more than one person should be able to be an admin, right? So it should be a role that you have as an admin to be able to log in. So yeah, that's the idea. Is I want it to be a role of an admin and not a specific user account. That is an important, also like another distinction. There's apparently a grouping system in FusionAuth, but I'm not exactly sure how that works. In this specific app that we're going to use, we're not going to have groups, I don't believe, because I'm not going to have like more than one role. I mean, I guess you can have more than. Can you have more than one role? That's another question. It's like, can I say like, hey, you are an admin and a user, or are you just only an admin, only user, or only public? I don't know. All good questions. Okay, so let's see. How do I want to do this? So if we start with just this, I want to see a list of applications. You know what? We need a list of pages. Like even if I don't design like how it's going to look, I need a list of pages to work on the flows. That's what I need. I need flows. We could use maybe a free form for this. So I'm going to call this the EyeAp usage flows. All right, so I would assume that I don't really want that. I think I can just get away with text. So we're gonna have unauthenticated user. I want to see a list of applications. That in order to get that, I need to be able to create an account, right? Like, so I need to create an application. So I need to, all right, so what is this flow going to be? This is the admin flow, or maybe just like one giant flow. I'm not sure how these type of things, like my brain starts thinking about all different ways of organizing the flows, and then I usually get just bogged down by that and want to go just play games or something. Sounds great. I was thinking as various businesses would use them, having multiple admins for each, and each admin having permissions would be important. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Okay, so we can try that. That would actually be really interesting. Now, I don't have multiple teams right now. Like I'm not big enough to like need to hire somebody to help me out. But it would be kind of fun, right? To like have somebody who can like maybe help me. Maybe I can like rope my wife into logging in and doing some actions for me eventually once I do have like, the LMS big enough. So we can have, this would be then like super admin, which is root of all roots, right? And then we can have an app admin. So an app admin would be, can only assign and deassign. So can only do CRUD for users and applications. Whereas super admin can do everything. This admin cannot delete, for example, a user from at all. They can't disable users. They can only just change what apps you have access to. So yeah, that would allow us to do that. I'm adding too much stuff. I might be. I'm also okay with just saying like, yep, we just have super admin, and that's okay. And that's probably a good idea, schizophrenic, to keep it really simple to begin with, and then we can add more if we really want to, but by that time I probably have a good enough idea of how to do it anyways, and I won't need to. So thank you for that. All right, let's continue on with the flows. So we have so unauthenticated. So this is like me, like this is somebody like logs in, right? Like this is a unauthenticated admin navigates to this is the EyeAp landing page. All right, so if we start here, I as the admin, but I haven't logged in, so I go to the landing page. I then log in. So then I log in. After logging in, I want to create an app, right? So then I want to navigate to create app page. And I create an app. Or register the app. Like the app might already be created. So let's do register app page, and I register app. All right. At that point, we're sort of like done, right, with the this person. So then we have unauthenticated user navigates to the EyeAp landing page. And then I want unauthenticated. So they, I want them to view the view list of applications. And they can click on an app, and that takes them to the application. At that point, they could then create an account. So they click create account button. So if I look at this, this is like sort of like the admin flow. Here's the user flow. They view the list of applications. They click on an app. They click create account. That will take them back over into this other app, but then they'll log in. So they fill out form. That also redirects themselves. So redirect to app. Do admin register users, or users say, hey, this is, wait, stupid heart thing is my way on YouTube chat. I can't make that bigger. Oh, come on, YouTube. I try to make the entire window bigger, but it keeps the chat as small. Okay, so hold on. Do admin registers users, or users say, hey, this is my admin? Users register themselves, right? I want users to like create an account themselves. Does that make sense? Is that answering the question? Redirect to app, and now they can see secret stuff in the app. So they can use oh, I guess they haven't purchased it yet. So they can now purchase app. Now they can use the app as a purchaser of the app. Oh, maybe a one-time link form to create the account sent by the admin to the user that links them. They should be able to do that automatically. I should be able to create a form or a link to FusionAuth in the application, so it sends them to FusionAuth itself. And then I don't have to worry about that. That's what I'm thinking of. All right, so this is sort of giving me, I don't know how helpful this is. I might just want to start coding, and because like this gives me some ideas. Like, okay, I can't really do this first, right? I want to it's not really stories, right? So these are more like tasks or things that need to be done. I want to set up Fusion app, set up the other things. I guess that will all be done as part of this. Log out. It's kind of gonna be like this one, right? It's like we start with as an admin. I want to register a new app. Then I want to see the app that I just registered. Once I've done that, I want to. I can't see a user, so then I want an authenticated user comes in and sees a list of applications, and then they create an account. I can also, okay, then I want them to log out and then log in again. So I want to double check that. I want them to purchase an app. And then use that app. Let's see. I want them to see a list of assignment. I want to see a list of users. I want to assign them to an app, to multiple apps. As a user, disable my account, update my account. I want to be able to remove them from an app. Also, just let me disable a user, delete a user, update a user. And then this one, okay, so I want to register a new app. I want to see list apps. I want to create an account, and then I want, okay. So I think that would be the order that I wanna try to tackle this in. All right, ads are starting in like 5 seconds or so. I think on this one I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back and we'll start some like very basic coding, or at least stuff set up for it. I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna look, but we'll get to that in like a minute or so. So I'll put this on. Ads are starting any second now, so I will be right back. All right, just in time to turn off the ad sign, and then Zilby sleeping on his little platform. So let me fix the camera too. Okay, so we know we're going to be using you. We know we're going to be using Hasura and Postgres and FusionAuth. So to me, that says that we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with Docker and Docker Compose and putting a bunch of stuff into this one repo. So this is going to be the equivalent of a multi-repo, a monorepo, which I'm a little bit concerned about with Helix because it sometimes does have trouble with monorepo type things. So we're going to see how that works. I think that if I do a sort of like a base level crate and then go from there, I think things will be fine. So I'll probably have the main app here, and then we'll create like other apps. Well, actually, no, we don't have to do that. I have to create the main app here. If I remember correctly, I can just create a cargo.toml here. And then everything else separately, right? So how do I want to do that? So if I create new, and we can just do this as a compose.yaml. So I don't need a version. Define the compose project name until user defines one explicitly. Otherwise, it's just going to be called EyeAp, which I'm okay with calling it EyeAp. Let's see. Oh, sub-projects to be included. I don't need any of those. Services. So what services are we going to have? We're going to have, obviously, the database. So we have a DB. We're going to have auth for FusionAuth. We're going to have the EyeAp. And I think we're going to have multiple applications too in order to test those out. So we're going to have app 1, and they have to be completely separate apps, like very different. Well, try using the docker init command. Oh, I've never even heard of the docker init command. Oh, hold on. Welcome to the Docker init CLI. This utility will walk you through creating the following files with sensible defaults for your project. Docker ignore, Docker file, compose YAML, and readme.docker.md. Okay, so what application platform does your project use? We're going to do Rust stuff. What version of Rust do I want to use? I assume that's the latest version. Yeah, 179.0, right? Yeah. What port does my server listen on? Oh, this is server. I'm going to have front end. I don't know. Nothing? Sure. 3000. What did you do? Okay, so you created a Docker ignore file. You created a compose YAML, a Docker file, a readme.docker. Okay, cool. Diablo, hello. How are you doing today? Why are people stupid? Do they understand their stupid causes pain? There's a lot to get into there. Well, you're in a safe space, as in I will do my best to not cause you more pain. And I'm sorry you're feeling about that. Let's see. But I don't really have a good answer for that. Like, most of the times people aren't trying. Oh, actually, you know what? I do have a good answer for that. Anytime that things are like that is happening to me and I feel that way, I remind myself that most people are trying to do their best, and it's not because they're stupid, or maybe I just don't use the word stupid. I just use the word incompetent. And they're not trying to cause pain, and they don't know that they're causing pain. And if they did, they would feel bad. I don't know if that helps at all. It might just make it worse. This is why I like computers. They're logical, insane, and normal. I was gonna... Yeah, that's true. Until eventually they start throwing LLMs into all the computers that we're using, and suddenly computers will become not only logical, they'll become logical and then sometimes not sane and normal. And that will be that's a fun time, right? When our computers are no longer logical. He hasn't used JavaScript. So despite how easy it is to make fun of JavaScript, JavaScript still at least follows rules and is consistent, right? Like, at least we have that. Because if something's consistent, we can predict it. Okay, so I'm curious, what is in each of these things? So we have our Docker ignore, which has a lot of cool stuff in here. That is nice. Now it is assuming that my Rust project is going to be in here. So I think what I want to do is the equivalent of this still. We have a Docker file, which is setting you up. Okay. Oh, interesting choice. It uses Rust Alpine version. There's a ton of comments to go through and do some cool things. Nice. Okay. We're probably, I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. And then we have their compose file. So what do we have in here? So we have, I'm not really even reading the, let's see. Okay. Comments are provided throughout this file to help you get started. If you need more help, go visit the compose reference. Here are the instructions. Here are the instructions to find your application. Okay, so it's trying to tell you what to use. So services. So we have our server, build. Okay, so do that. Exposing the port. Okay, then it adds like an example of a Postgres database. Nice. You want to try AWS Cognito out? It's like FusionAuth. I've heard extremely mixed things about AWS Cognito. Several people who have used it have told me to pretty much like avoid it unless it's unless I don't really like have that big of a choice. One thing that I'm not super thrilled on Cognito for is the fact that it is tied to AWS. And if I want to do like a course or like a free course or something like that, you need to have an AWS account to use it. And that feels like it's a bit much to ask for like, you know, if I'm doing some other type of auth course. That's the main reason I'm looking forward to like a FusionAuth type thing. You know why I don't stream? Because it gets political real damn quick. I'm pretty sure I'd end up, that's the problem about like a lot of people have like strong opinions about all these different things, which is good. It's good to have those strong opinions. But when, in streaming type stuff, yeah, it can get pretty people get attached to like my idea is the right idea and then for the only idea. And that's that can cause people to get really upset if anybody else has an idea that's not the same as theirs. Which is why you see so many streamers, myself included, who are like, you know what? Let's just not like chat about it too much. Mostly because I don't think it's going to be helpful to like discuss it here in this specific setting, especially since I'm chatting and none of you can chat with me. That doesn't really feel like a good space. It's not conducive to a conversation. All right. All right, so it tells me about that. All right, so let's figure this out. So we have our server build. So I'm not going to have a server. We're going to use Hasura as the server. So it's going to be a little bit interesting here. So we're going to have, yeah, we have a front end essentially, and just that. So if I just do like, we have Hasura, I guess like anything with here. Okay, so we're gonna have app one essentially is gonna be this. It's gonna build. We'll have our context. I'll probably want to do this inside of like app one, something like that. And then I'll want to do this again for app two. I don't think I need the context or anything like that. We'll just say it's app one. App two. I will need to open up ports. So yeah, we can just say like 3,000. And we can do maybe like 4,000. We can actually do like 3,000 both sides inside the app. Okay, and then we have Postgres. So we have DB, image Postgres, sure. I don't actually need it to restart always. User by default is already Postgres. Secrets, DB password. Go with that volume. Okay. Environment. We have Postgres DB. The Postgres database is okay. Postgres password file. This is like actually just putting it in there. Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't need to do that. But they do have I need to go look it up. I need this Postgres password. And we're gonna set you to be just keyboard cat. Sure, we'll expose 5432. We'll do the health check for that. Although this health check doesn't work really. Like I've tried this health check before and it's it works sometimes, but it's not 100%. Volumes, DB data, and then I'm not going to use these specific secret stuff. Okay. Oh, right. So let's see. We have you. Okay. I want to move you up to the top because the order that we need these things running in. I also want that to be the order that I'm just writing these in because that's kind of essential, right? So we have our database. And then I want probably we can just set up Hasura after that. This will all be in the default network, which will be fine. Just having everything together in the same network will be okay. How did the anathema thing go? Anathema worked fine. However, we're running into a problem now where I'm attempting to send data from another thread into anathema, and I'm having trouble receiving that data or getting it. Like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong in there. It's some kind of like some problem with async versions of the of well something. I have to figure it out. It might be the wrong ref. It might be something else. I have some logs, like print lines that are happening inside of the catchers, like the things that are doing the rec v's for the channels, and it's not receiving anything. So whatever I'm trying to do to send a message it either isn't sending into the channel properly or is not receiving properly on the inside of the anathema side. So I'm not really sure what the problem is in there. We need to spend a little bit more time figuring that out. But that'll be we'll get into that next week. Okay. Hasura. So I guess we can do the basics for these. So we have Hasura, we're going to have FusionAuth. And then we need app 1, app 2, and we're going to have EyeAp. Okay. Now I believe this is enough to set everything up for the database. Okay. For Hasura, we're going to have an image. And I remember it's Hasura GraphQL Engine. And I'm okay with using the latest on these right now. Anathema does weird things with value storage. It wraps it with the cell of some sorts. Oh, yeah. I did fix that one thing that we had. And that was I just needed to use the like state dot parameter dot set instead of just trying to set it directly because it was like a cell type thing behind the scenes. And then that worked just fine. That made it update automatically, which was great. So then the next thing we try to do is use channels to like send that message in, and that was not working for us. I still want to maybe this weekend reach out to Togglebit and see if maybe like I can do a stream around the same time that he's streaming and he could hang out with us. Right. Oh, let's see. You're on the phone. Can I link the GitHub repo? Yes. I haven't actually pushed this to GitHub yet. I probably should do that soon. Here, let's do that now. Okay, so we have all these things. Oh, for Anathema, my link, the Anathema repo that I have that I'm using, or the Anathema, like the actual what Anathema is. I can go find that. Which of course I'm logged out of GitHub. Toggles Anathema. Okay. Of course. This is it. Oh, but of course I haven't set up that thing yet, so I can't do copy paste between Windows and PC. So give me a second to post this in Twitch chat. There we go. Toggle needs more victims. Yeah. So one, I guess, okay. So Schizo, to describe Anathema, it is a front end for the CLI. So you can basically just create, well, just sort of like how you use components to build web applications and sort of like fit them together. You can create components that are displayed in the CLI. And it's actually really nice. You can now use your terminal for full applications, and you don't have to use one of the really ancient libraries to do that with. And you get to use more modern programming. It's component based. It uses sort of like a CSS kind of style for the styling system of it. You can do animations. You can get 60 frames per second, which is not actually that easy to do in a normal traditional terminal environment. So it's actually really nice. The only negative is that it's an alpha. So just keep in mind that things can change a lot. There are probably plenty of bugs, and the documentation is still being updated. However, Togglebit, who is a streamer on the platform, so if you haven't followed him or gone watch him, highly recommended to do that. Do I have the shout out capability? I don't actually know if I've ever. I don't think I have a shout out. Oh, I do have a shout out. Okay. Shout out. Toggle. That's it, right? Yeah. Okay. I did the correct username. So take a look at Togglebit's channel if you want to sort of like see. He works on Anathema on stream all the time and is happy to answer any questions that you might have on there. And then also you can join his Discord, and he has a channel there for asking specific questions, which is how I learned about the .set that I need to update as state thing in there. Can you use this with Node.js? In a way, it's a front end, right? So it would be sort of like just saying, can you use React with Node.js? And I don't mean like the server-side rendering side of React. I mean like the front end run in a browser side of React. And in that way, it's like yes and no. As in, you can use Node.js for the API layer that the CLI app would hit with HTTP requests, but would it like directly connect in and be used in? No, it would not. And then also, Diablo is correct. You have to use Rust when using Anathema. It's a framework it's a front end framework for CLI in Rust. Yeah, people do write CLI tools in Node. npm itself is one. Yeah, that's true. There's also plenty of those as well. This project is not going to use that. Although it would be fun to like, I feel like once we understand Anathema more, we can start making more applications with it, which would be a lot of fun. But that is not what we're going to do today. Okay, so right. Okay, so we have to figure out what this URL is, which is going to be pretty simple, right? It's going to be Postgres :/ and then what username? So Postgres : keyboard cat at, is it at? Yeah, it's at db. Let's see. It knows what the port is by default, but I can still add that in. 432 / Postgres database. So that should be the URL. And actually, you know what I should be doing? Before I even do any of these, I should comment you out and make sure that this works. And make sure that we have a Postgres database up and running the way we expect it to. So let's do a docker compose up. Yeah, already we have a problem. Service DB refers to undefined volume DB data. Oh, because I do have that DB. Never mind. Commented too much out. First, undefined secret password. Oh, yeah, I don't need the secrets. Okay. All right, so we have Postgres up and running, so that's good. And then I think, yeah, let's just, while we're building this out, I'll just remove every part of the projects. A hard remove. Okay, so next up, Hasura. So we're going to use the Hasura GraphQL engine. We're going to point it at the Postgres database. We're going to enable the console. Now, this is actually incorrect because it says somewhere else that if I enable the console, I have to give it the password for the console too, which is this one. I'll also give you keyboard cat. Let's see. Oh, we have to give it a port that it's on, and I think internally it's 8080. So we'll do 8080. That's fine. You depend on Postgres. Yeah, that's true. So it depends on. How do I do this again? There's a I can do depends on. Oh yeah, okay. So it depends on DB. Oh, can I do this like DB condition service healthy? There we go. Okay. So if I run this now, I was supposed to do a -- wait, wasn't I? I mean, Diablo, you have streamed before, right? I don't remember if you streamed before or not, but you haven't streamed recently. Okay, so we've got all of you running. DB is healthy, and then Hasura started. So now theoretically on port 8080. And actually, let's do this in the other browser because this is all sort of like local development stuff. So localhost port 8080, and then admin secrets. This is keyboard cat because, well, maybe not. Okay, I actually just had to put in the how to type it in correctly. Don't show me again, and here we go. So we now have Hasura that is pointed at our database, but our database doesn't have anything in it. So yeah, we need to add in, okay. How realistic / important it is for me to do all this stuff together like that. I think I'm not testing how to configure Hasura or Postgres, so we'll just use clickety clicks to configure all this stuff. So I can create, we have this default database, but I can create tables and do other fun stuff here. So I can create a table and do all that cool stuff at this point in time, which I will focus on later when we get to that point. So Hasura is working. Art Winnin, hello, how are you doing today? And thank you so much for the resubscription. 9 months in a row. Nice. Or at least 9 months. I don't, does Twitch still tell me if that's in a row or not? I don't remember if I even set that up. But hello, and thank you so much for the subscription. Which is just in time too, because another ad block is going to start in like 5 minutes. Frequenz, Freak 35 Hertz. How are you doing today? Hello. I'm doing pretty good. We're doing some experimentation, sort of like learning project building for FusionAuth. But of course, to get all that stuff in, we're first working on everything else. You're doing great. Excellent. In a row indeed. Nice. I don't know why that doesn't say that anymore. I guess Twitch decided to not tell us that to like not make people feel upset if they missed a month or two. But I've been doing pretty good. I've been really busy in the last like couple months almost, which is why you see my like streams have dropped down to 2 per week. And like the days and the start times like change every once in a while just because I have to like move it around with all these other things that I've been doing. Okay, so let's take this down. All right, so that is Hasura and DB now. And so next up, I want the auth system set up. That's going to be isn't it control? Oh, I can't do control C while I'm in interactive mode. Oh, interesting. I can only how did I not notice that with Hasura? Oh, sorry, Hasura with Helix. All right. Auth. This is going to be another image. And we are going to use FusionAuth. By FusionAuth, however, it's not. I don't actually see that this is official verified publisher. So let's go find FusionAuth's website and go find and verify that that actually is the one we want. Where's the documentation page? Okay, so it is. Oh, come on. You make me go to that? Are you not going to send me a link to your page? Oh, that kind of sucks. Okay, so I need to go to this URL, whatever that is. And here we can see, oh, they need this search thing for open search project. In order to do these things, okay. So I need to grab search. Okay, I will leave this on the default search, the default network. Okay, so we're going to use open search project, environment. Okay, so I think all these things are going to be fine. Oh, but they have all this other stuff set up too. Where does this get defined? Open search Java ops. Oh, I guess this is just defined inside the Huh, that's a little bit weird. As long as it doesn't fail, I guess that's okay. Life's at its best, you guess? Well, that sounds like a really good thing. Yeah, I think at this point it's better to have the FusionAuth thing in its own file. They seem to be a lot. That does seem to be a lot, doesn't it? Now, what I would really like to do is have its own database in a separate, in my thing, because that's, in a real life, I would have one database that I want separately and work out. So here, if I take you, undo you, okay, let's call this FusionAuth compose.yaml. We'll add in you, but you don't get the database. Which means, okay, so volumes, environments. Okay, you're only on the search net. That's fine. FusionAuth image that depends upon, okay, so you don't get the database, but you get search. database URL. So I could also make this should be its own network too. Ads again? We had ads like 10 minutes ago or so. We shouldn't have ads right now. But here, wait, maybe I can do something for you, Diablo. Because you've been here a lot. There you go. Now you're subscribed, Diablo. So sorry, you don't get to be suppressed by capitalism anymore. At least on this channel. Okay, so database URL. Is there a way for me to pass in something to use this? That would be great. Otherwise, we'll just have to say I want you know, it's another interesting question. Okay, FusionAuth app, right? So that's what this is called. So I want to go to here. Okay, FusionAuth app. Oh, Elasticsearch is optional. Okay, so I don't have to have Elasticsearch. Nice. FusionAuth will start without a connection to Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch may be configured for advanced search functionality. And then, okay. Due to the Oracle license terms of the MySQL connector, this container will not be able to connect to a MySQL database. Oh, interesting. Okay. You'll need to build a custom container that includes the MySQL connector jar file. Oh, that's fun. Thank you, license from Oracle, for that. Well, you get to feel better than 10 other people. No, sorry, everybody but 10 other people, Diablo, right now. Or I guess YouTube people, because they don't have, I guess YouTube gets like banner ads, but I don't think I have any in between sort of like mid-roll ads on for YouTube. But also I tend to skip YouTube chat for a while because I forget to look at it more often too. Are YouTube people really people though? Yes. I mean, aren't we all YouTube people as well as Twitch people? All right, so because of this, I don't need to use you. We're going to go ahead and remove the FusionAuth compose file, and we're just going to throw FusionAuth inside of here. You don't tell me what you need, which is fun. Yeah, this just takes me to do this. And you take me to this. Okay, so I'm going to put this over on the side. All right, so we have auth. So first off, this is going to depend. So we have a depends on. DB condition service healthy. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, Arthur, sorry. I finally figured out that if I move the YouTube window to the top of the screen, on my way down to look at Twitch chat, I do tend to see YouTube chat a little bit more. However, I can't seem to move the chat from the right-hand side of the YouTube dashboard to the left-hand side, which is where, the Twitch chat is. So sometimes I don't look right enough, which, kind of sucks. It's one of those like, oh, it shouldn't make that big of a difference, but it somehow does. Let's see. Okay, condition service healthy. Okay, so we have our DP. We're gonna ignore the search for right now. I'm actually curious, like, how far we can go without that advanced search. I don't even know if I need it. We have environment. Okay, so database URL, and then this is going to be the same thing that we have here. Oh, actually, it's different. Huh, you're going to use that JDBC thing. So it's JDBC colon. Then we have Postgres QL. This looks like I don't need the other things there if it figures out what the username and password is. So I don't need that as a separate, I'm guessing. So I can skip database root username, database root password, database username, database password. I'm guessing there's going to be defaults for FusionAuth, app memory, runtime mode. I kind of want to just try these, right? Oh, there's FusionAuth app URL. Oh, which is hard coded into like a. Oh, I see. Okay. So I probably need that. So we're calling this auth 9011. I don't have any search servers and don't have a search type. We do a health check. So go to localhost 9011. Okay, that'll be fine. Not part of networks. Don't worry about restart right now. Ports. I forgot to do the image. Oh, and you have an entire volume for configs too. That will be important. Okay, so we have those two volumes. That'll be fine there. And then all I need left is image. Okay, so this should start up FusionAuth now. Let's see. Dude, you watch someone complain they were being stream sniped, and the person he accused was like, "Bro, you'd stream on YouTube. How is where you were 30 seconds ago useful? He quit streaming after that. Oh yeah, I can imagine for like some of those games where it really you don't move around very much, or it's like very slow movement. I can see that. But again, like if you stream sniping is just gonna be a way of life. If you stream any competitive type games, right? Like that's just what we have to accept as streamers. I'm programming, so what would even stream snipe be in programming world? Like you're gonna snipe a PR for me or something? Oh, maybe if I'm like doing a feature for an open source project, you do it before me. That'd be funny. So people are angry because you switched to Helix. Why? I mean, okay, I shouldn't say that. People get angry for the silliest of reasons constantly. But it also is one of those things where it's like, why, I'm curious. Why are they angry? Why do they self-report to be angry? Man in the middle attacks. Oh yeah, that could happen too. Or you know what? The other thing is, should we now call it stream sniping if I expose a key, like I'm being stream sniped? Like it's still my fault, but at least I can just claim that it's somebody else. Error response from daemon. Driver failed programming external connectivity on endpoint. Bind for that failed port is already allocated because I have this app still running. I must. Wait, what? Where did I put my? Okay, is it in here? Oh, it's that compose. Okay, so I have to do Docker compose down. Yes, that was still running. Unrelated, you found this earlier. Thought of me when I was trying to figure out how IPC works. Oh, simple IPC ping pong. Oh, cool. Let me add that into my to check out list, which is fairly large, but always nice to like look into these type of things. Stream sniping keys and tokens is totally a thing. Yeah, I mean, we can just call it that. Is it really stream sniping though? If like I expose it, like now anybody can do that. Like it, like normally stream sniping is just somebody walks over and just shoots you in the back because they saw where you were hiding in the game. Although it'd be fun, we can make, that'd be a fun game to make. Stream snipe the game. Like that's just the title of the game. We'll have to like figure out like what that means and like design for the entire idea being that you need to snipe someone. Snipe this, like find the streamer and snipe them. Okay, so that's closed. Let's go ahead and try you again. Okay, so you're up and running. It's kind of the same security risk as accidentally committing tokens to a public GitHub repo. Yes, absolutely. In some ways, it's slightly worse because you do it in front of people and they immediately see it. With the GitHub repo, it takes a little bit of time for somebody to find it and then they take advantage of it. For everybody else, it's like, oh, it's there. It's up now. Like people can just like type that in and start using it immediately. All right, so I want you. So first off, you're still working, right? So we still have you. And now I want to load up. It was 9011, I think. There we go. Okay, so we have 9011. We're in maintenance mode and database configuration. So this is the first thing that I want to figure out how to do. How do I get this stuff in automatically? Because I don't want to do this over and over and over again myself. Because I would want to say database type Postgres. Oh, interesting. Look at that. Database is not ready. It's either not running or does not contain the FusionAuth database or tables. Oh, so because I didn't include the environment variables for this, it doesn't do it properly. Okay, good to know. Yeah, all right. So let's try this again. Yeah, and if it's tokens for major endpoints, they already have the endpoint set up, waiting for found tokens no matter who the victim is. Yeah, exactly. GitHub started doing on-commit scanning because bots were automating attacks against major projects. Oh yeah, like I've received those emails from both GitHub and I've also received them from just random security research companies saying like, hey, you have keys, please get rid of them immediately. They weren't trying to sell their services. They were just saying like, hey, please take care of this. Like ASAP. Which is nice. I like that some companies do that. We one time, so story time for this, we one time wanted to use like for education purposes, use a realistic looking key. And so what we did was we generated a key for a project that we're using, whatever service that the students were forced to use, and reset it. And I wasn't the instructor, so I wasn't like the one who wrote this application, but my boss at the time had, and he then regenerated the secret token and used the now not working token as the .env-example value for it. So you can see like, oh, this is what you're going to put in. This is what it looks like. He got flagged. He got so many emails from GitHub and security researchers saying, you've exposed a key. You've exposed a token. He's like, yes, I know. It is not a valid key. It's not a valid token. It's okay. And he eventually had to change it because it was just too annoying. Glad they offer PG though. MySQL and MariaDB are both endless headaches for sysops and DevOps. I think the thing that I dislike the absolute most right now about MySQL is the fact that you run into that licensing problem with Oracle, where it's like, oh yeah, we can't use it because we're using Java, and it's like, oh, come on, stop it. That's Oracle's fault. It's like we can blame FusionAuth all for like saying, hey, you can't connect to MySQL, but it's really Oracle that's forcing that. That's my Maria exists. I think that I can, yeah, but the problem with Maria isn't the fact that it's, Marian based upon MySQL. Like, that's great. The problem is that because a lot of people haven't switched over to it, they can't trust and say like, hey, we're going to use MariaDB, or we're going to assume that you're using MariaDB. They say MySQL because that's what everybody else uses. It's sort of like that problem that like Python 2 to Python 3. It's like for the longest time, everybody just said like, I know Python 3 has been out for 10 years, but we're still going to target Python 2. So it's a thing. Okay, so let's see. I need to add in environment variables for those other things. So that's going to be database username, which is Postgres. Database password, which is keyboard cat. And these are all like local dev type stuff, so I have no problem of pushing this all up into GitHub for the learning purposes. And I think the database URL didn't like what I had in here, so I think I need to redo this. So what is this? JDBC PostgreSQL // DB5432 Postgres. I'm actually going to be very curious about what the tables it's going to create is, like what that looks like. Okay, so if I do that, let's see now if this is a little bit happier. Distros are ceasing shipping MySQL, and MySQL package becomes empty shims that depend on MariaDB. MariaDB is supposed to be 100% drop-in compatible. Yeah, it's going to be nice when everybody else just sort of like starts doing it. I think it's mostly just fear on like, oh, if we do this, what are the repercussions? I don't know. MySQL has brand name recognition. Let's go ahead and use that. I think that that's all it really is. And maybe it would be things like FusionAuth saying, hey, and actually, you know what? This is a great time to add this into our README. Questions for FusionAuth. Can you update the default Docker image to be compatible with MariaDB? So I'll ask that to them next time I'm chatting with them. All right, let's try this again. So if I come back to here, it drops us into maintenance mode, but this time we see hosted DB, port, database. Okay, so we see this is all filled out now. Super user credentials. This username and password will only be used during this database configuration step and will not be stored by FusionAuth for future use. Wait, what? Optionally provide your existing database super user. No. FusionAuth credentials. Provide a new username and password to own the FusionAuth database. This database user will be created with a provided password if it does not exist. If you specify a database user that already exists, you must also provide the correct password. Okay, so it created a new password for me, but I want to see what happens if I just give it that. Yeah, but look at the other side. Using MySQL has repercussions. You might have to pay Oracle, and Oracle can decide that after the fact and sue you. That's why a lot of major companies switched And again, switching for them is just changing the name of the CLI tool they call in their main scripts. No args or SQL itself changes. They're uncomfortable with was GPL, now who knows, license shenanigans. Yeah, totally understand. And that's the reason why in AWS, when you create a MySQL database, you might notice that AWS's description for the engine for their MySQL is actually not MySQL, it's MySQL compatible database. And they do the same thing for Postgres. They just like, oh, it's a MySQL or Postgres compatible database, which, you know, allows them to say, oh, it could be that, it could be something else. It's compatible with the drivers. Just don't worry about like what it actually is behind the scenes, which is both uncomfortable and comfortable at the same time, because you probably won't get sued by Oracle for having a MySQL compatible database on AWS. They use their own in-house storage engine. Yeah, AWS does sound like the type of people who would just write their own database engine themselves, because of course they would. Okay, now this is the first step. I would love to automate through, I guess, like through this step too. So create the admin user. So if I do like Zerker, oh, we could do this. I'm Brooks, builds. I don't think this can even send an email at all. I'll go ahead and set that up. Password. I accept their license. Don't send me updates. I learned this from an event. Okay, and so we're in now. Now the idea is though that it's in a volume, so that's great. But what I would love to do is use a kickstart to get through that part and just get this thing going. I don't know if I can. Let's see if we can find their FusionAuth, search. Kickstart. Yeah, who knows what it is right now is probably a great way to say a great thing to say about anything AWS, right? Because it's been so long since they've described how they're doing a lot of different stuff, and all we do know is that they love the microservice architecture, and it's probably got a lot to do with microservices. All right, Kickstart overview. FusionAuth Kickstart is super easy, and if you can do it with an API, you can do it in Kickstart. Kickstart allows you to build a template that will be executed during startup to quickly replicate development or production environments. The Kickstart file is a collection of one or more API keys and a list of API requests. You can call post, put, or patch on any API that you like, and each request will be executed in order to using the primary API key defined in the Bootstrap file. To kickstart FusionAuth, set an environment variable named FusionAuth app kickstart file that points to your kickstart file, or configure FusionAuth app kickstart file in your FusionAuth properties file. See configuration for more options. Kickstart expects an untouched FusionAuth instance. The kickstart process will only run if no API keys, users, or tenants exist. Kickstart is suitable for spinning up development CI or testing environments to a known state, but is not a generic configuration management solution. Okay, so they do have a configuration management for like production. So this is meant for development, which is what I'm looking into right now. Because Kickstart won't run if an instance isn't empty, You can safely leave this environment variable configured even after the system has been configured. Okay, that's nice also. You are implicitly accepting the license when using Kickstart. That makes sense. If you'd like to run a Kickstart file in a Docker container, please check out the Docker installation guide. Interesting. So they Kickstart. Okay, using Docker with Kickstart is a powerful combination. Using these techniques together lets you configure and share development environments, create replicable bug reports, spin up auth instances with a well-known versioned set of data for continuous integration and testing. All the normal limitations of Kickstart apply. The Kickstart will not run. Yeah, okay. It's easy to get started with Kickstart, but you'll need to tweak your Docker Compose files a bit. Okay, you'll need a valid kickstart.json file. Note that this file could be called anything. Kickstart.json is simply a convention. And then go back to the Kickstart documentation. Once you have a valid Kickstart.json file, create a subdirectory in the location of your Docker Compose file. It can be named anything. Mount this directory and set the FusionAuth app Kickstart file variable in the Docker Compose YAML file. Yeah, that's the only negatives, that I have to use a volume mount, and on a Mac that does make things slower, but it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be horrible. It's just going to not be that fun. You have zero respect for AWS, but they do a lot of work internally to keep any API they've ever offered still compatible. That is nice. That is nice. Rudra, hello. How are you doing today? Can I explain how you can learn by making projects? You heard this from many, but none explains how. I think that it's one of those things where it's like once you understand it, I think you'll be like, okay, I get it. I get it totally now. The current project that I'm working on right now is what I call a learning project. And that is exactly what I think other people are telling you to do. So learn by making projects. So you want to create something that is realistic. You don't want it to be polished. What you want to do is you want to focus on something, right? So if we go back and take a look at my project here, we wrote in like, here's the requirements of what I want to do. These requirements are based upon what I want to learn. And specifically in this learning project, I want to learn a little bit more about FusionAuth. So that's the entire point, right? I want to learn about FusionAuth. But in order to make FusionAuth like to learn properly, I also want to learn it in the context of the Rust language, in the context of a front-end web application. So I'm going to choose you because I know you and I've used it before, and I probably would use you with FusionAuth. I want to use it with Postgres and Hasura because I've used those technologies in the past and I really like them. So I'm adding these all in too. And testing is important to me, and so I want to make sure that I sort of like can work with my testing libraries with FusionAuth as well. And so I'm going to build this entire project. It's not something that I'm planning on selling. It's not something that I'm planning on integrating into my existing applications right now. If I do, I'll probably rewrite it, but more for like a production polished level at that point. So that's what like a learning project is. That's what it means by learn by making projects, is create a project that's focused on technologies that you don't know but want to know. So in this case, it's FusionAuth, right? If you wanted to learn Rust at all, you can say like, okay, well, the requirements is that I use the language Rust, but then just give any kind of like, you want some kind of like limitation to what you're working on. And that's the project itself. So like it could be, I want to build the game Pong. I want to build a little CLI tool that tells me what the weather is in my current area. Or I want to build like a little chat application that allows two terminals to chat with each other. Those are all potential projects that you can use to learn a variety of different tools, languages, or something else. Does that help, Rudra? Does that explain it for you? I guess I'm already doing a volume. Oh, that's a volume into a volume container, not a volume to my system. So yeah, I don't know. How do I want to do this? I might as well just do the volume and take the hit. So okay, so if we name that, then we're gonna do. I want to mount FusionAuth to you want to go into user local FusionAuth kickstart. Sure, why not? Okay, so take FusionAuth, use your local FusionAuth, probably into something like that. Running Docker is so cringe. I mean, isn't running anything that's like useful these days cringe? How about this, Diablo? If when it gets too cringy, just focus on the cat. Just focus on the cat. Okay, so we have that, which means now I need. Oh, then the kickstart file. Yeah, okay. So then we have environment. I'm doing the environment in two completely different ways in Compose, which of course it works, but it's not. I love Docker Compose and how consistent it is with itself. Docker just has really bad image hygiene culture. I'm not comfortable with running entire OS images you didn't build yourself. Totally understand. Totally understand. I don't know if there's a good solution for that right now. Okay, so where are you going? You're going into user local FusionAuth config kickstart.json. Okay, so there's you. And now we need to open you up and do stuff in here. The API key. Here's the simplest Kickstart file you can use. It adds a single API key and that's it. This is useful if you intend to complete the rest of your setup by calling APIs in your own application, development setup scripts, or with Terraform. Cool. Okay. So if I just grab you. Now, obviously, I would want this to be like an actual real API key. I can just keyboard cat that myself. Philby is asleep, otherwise I'd have him do it. The solution is projects like this stop making their software so hard to install that Docker images is somehow superior. Yeah. Well, it's a couple different things. It's also like good good sandboxing in operating systems. Like if we had better sandboxing tools that aren't just like full VMs, then that would also make Docker like completely go away. but I haven't really seen any that are that good. Full VMs are lighter than Docker. Isn't it though a like one full VM is lighter than a whole bunch of Docker containers and images, but once you get enough VMs, it won't be anymore. Yeah, Docker is not a security method and can't truly sandbox. Do remember though that if you're on a Linux, if you're not on Linux, if you're running Docker desktop because you're on Mac or Windows, you are in a VM because of reasons. Reasons that are mostly due to Docker licensing. If you don't provide an API key in a file, Kickstart will not be able to run. So did they say this was... Please don't use the above key in a production environment. Haha. Okay. Scoping an API key. So the first API you specify has to have authority over all tenants. Oh, that's what that means. Okay, and then we can scope future keys. I'm not going to worry about that right now. You may also add a key manager attribute if you would like to have like an API key to have it to be a key manager capable of creating and modifying other keys. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're going to come back to this later. Oh, rug mat, rose pine. Sure, let's change that. What is it? Theme. Ooh, nice. Okay. Also, hello, how are you doing today? Did I know that ABS no longer has containers at all? I did not know that. They're deploying tens of thousands of VMs to some sort of their servers and is less overwhelmed than anything Docker-based or K8 based. Interesting. I did not know that. Well, then maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so API keys. We're just going to do that one right now. Using variables. You may find yourself repeating yourself when you build your Kickstart file, but nobody likes to type the same value over and over. To use a variable, define the key and value in a variable section of the Kickstart file. And okay, so nice. Okay, so I can do variables API key like this, which let's just, you know, do that there. Don't need the description, that's the full description. Excellent. Using environment variables. It's reasonable to think you may not want to hard code a password or API key in the Kickstart file. What? Fine, yeah. Okay, so this would allow me to use environment variables for that, which would be nice. And then that's just env dot, but the same general idea. Okay, adding API requests. Now comes the interesting part. Once you have defined at least one API key, you can find one to many API requests that will be executed in order using the primary API key. Each API key, API request. This is in an array, I would guess. Come on, show me some examples. Okay, yes. Then we have a request section, and then I just describe what I'm doing. So essentially, it's like seeding, which is kind of nice. So this is where I can create a user. Their EC2 API calls their Kate server service, their Docker service calls their Kate service, and their Kate service calls Firecracker, and their internal services all transition to making Firecracker optimized images. Nice. Isn't ECS though using Docker behind the scenes? I thought that was using Docker Swarm for Fargate stuff. Okay, so requests, that's great. I'll have to come back to this. We have one tenant right now. So I don't need to worry about that. Okay, so there's some interesting default stuff. If you have a paid edition of FusionAuth, you'll be provided with a license ID, and I can add this in to the Kickstart. That's nice. If you're using a community edition, you can omit this field. Okay, nice. And then it could have global. Oh, this is like for like the updates and all that stuff. Okay, good. We can use some files. Okay. So instead of a hash, it's a @ sign for files. We could also include JSON files using ampersand. Okay. Okay, so this is great and all, but I need to figure out what I want to do to like get to that point. Let's see. Because I wouldn't be I guess I would be creating the users, right? So like we'd be creating the main user. Oh no, this is actions. I don't want actioning users. Yeah, so create a user with a randomly generated ID is fine. Okay, so I need to go back. Okay, so we'll have a requests field. Right, it's all part of this array here. No, it's actually separate from this array. Okay, so requests, which is another array, and it's an array of objects. And so we're going to have method post. Okay, so method and this method is going to be post. They're going to have URL. And so it goes to /API user registration. And I can just go API user. Okay, cool. And is it URL? And then that was, yeah, /API. So /API user. And then we have body. And body is just a full object. And so we come back to here to figure out what the body should be. Okay, request body application ID. So an optional application ID will be used to resolve an application-specific email template. Okay, so I don't have that one. Disable domain block. I don't need to do that. Okay, defaults to false for send set password email. Skip verification. Yes, this could be a true. So skip verification. Right? This is all. Yeah, this is all just part of the body, right? So skip verification, true. User birth date, don't care about that. User data, an object can hold any information about the user that should be persisted. Okay, so I don't care about that. User data email. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. So these are all top level, and then we have another option, another object. So user birth date, user data email. This field will be used as the email address if the user email, if no user email field is found. Got it. That would be this one. So user.email. If an email is not provided, then a username will be required. Okay, so user.email. So we'll have to have a user email to all right, what's default? The method for encrypting the user's password. Encrypting? The following encryptors are provided with FusionAuth. I mean, those are not encryptors. Those are hashing. Yeah. All right, so what is this? User.encryption scheme. It would also be nice. Yeah, it'd also be nice to mention what the default hash type is for this. This software is now dead to you. Arthur, you finished off the boring stuff. Now you need to configure a new domain for a new business. Do I have a guide on all the things that need to be done? Oh, to configure a domain for a business? Not really. There's usually what happens like when I really need to, I just sort of do things as I need, and then like, oh, I need to do email stuff, so I just go to like whatever email system I'm using, like SendGrid or whatever, and just use their guide at that point in time. So I don't really have one. Sorry about that. Okay, Blah. Hello, Blah. How are you doing today? You recommend using Pork Bun for a domain manager. I've never heard of Pork Bun, but that is a great name. I also like that they allow you to use a custom password hashing. That's really nice. Um, I mean, so I would love that this is. I'm going to use that as default. Okay, user factor. So how many salt rounds is going to be, right? So um, it's nice that we can set that so that we don't have to rely upon their defaults, and we can just say like, hey, I want this to be 16. I want it to take like 2 minutes per password. Okay, user first name. And I'm guessing this is also, we have a last name. Oh, interesting. They have memberships. So we could do something like that in there. The email address of the user's parent or guardian. This field is used to allow a child user to identify their parent, so FusionAuth can make a request to their parent to confirm the parent relationship. That's actually nice. I like that. I don't actually remember seeing that in Auth0. Okay, user password. The user's plain text password. This password will be hashed and a provided value will be never stored and cannot be retrieved. See, that's nice. They put that harsh out there as like, we're hashing the passwords. I like that a lot more. I want that to be in the previous place where it was a user, the what do they call it? The encryption scheme. It's like that's not correct. This field is optional only if send sent password email is set to true. By default, send set password email is false. Oh, that would be a way for me to do a forced authentic validate the user too. Okay, so we're gonna set the password. Now we can use environment variables, which was, if I remember correctly, it was like this, right? So do env dot and then like account password like that. So I would need, let's see. We have account password. We come into here. Can I do environment and .env? It's like env file. and have this be a, I don't know, we just use .env. We can use, sure, .env. Why not? Now I'm curious about this, so I can just go ahead and, oh, I put that in FusionAuth env. That's not what I want. Although it kind of works, doesn't it? It's gonna be in FusionAuth env. Okay, so account password equals, and then I'll just do key. That would probably actually, will it even let me do that if it's a bad password? Password that like won't bother me too much, but is like kind of okay. We can do that. And I know this is not a real password that I ever use. It's fine. I probably do want to ignore that though. Wait, I don't have a git ignore. Okay, so ignore everything that's a .env. Yes, now I can't find the env in there anymore. Okay, that's great. All right, so if I wonder if you're going to work, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so get that for the environment. That's great. Okay, and then I have an example here. And then we should get a response out. And all right, so this should create that first user, theoretically. All right, so if I write you, I don't have any, okay, so I don't have anything to tell me if that JSON file is okay or not. Let's do a Docker, let's remove everything and try to bring this up again and then see if our user is automatically created in FusionAuth, because that would be nice. I probably don't need to do like the full nuke every time that I rebuild it, but I might as well. Response from daemon, failed to create task for container, failed to create shim task, OCI runtime create failed, run C create failed, unable to start container process, exec, start, stat, user local FusionAuth app, bin start.sh, no such directory, file or directory unknown. Huh. Interesting. So that we didn't have that before. So then the only thing that we've really changed. Oh, unless the if these environments aren't allowed in there. Okay, so if I delete you, go to that .env and just throw you in here. Ooh. Okay. All right, let's use that environment. Let's try this again. Oh, maybe I have to bring it down first in order for it to really properly come back up. Okay. Let's try it again now and see if this works. Same problem. Okay. So the problem is in the Kickstart. I wonder if we can check logs. No logs. Interesting. Okay. So is the problem okay, let's try going to Kickstart and I guess we'll have to remove let's just remove that request here. So we'll just have this key. I'm curious about whether or not at least it's going to work this time. Or if it's something else that we've done, because we did test before we added the Kickstart file. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, okay, I got it. I know what happened. I know what happened. Okay. FusionAuth, I want to buffer close. Okay, so write you, buffer close you. I want to make a directory in FusionAuth for Kickstart. We're going to move FusionAuth kickstart.json into FusionAuth Kickstart. And in the volumes, instead of just going to user local FusionAuth, we're going to go into user local FusionAuth Kickstart and okay, we're going to try that. See if that's any better. Maybe? I feel like it's taking longer this time than it did last time. Oh, auth is up and healthy. Okay, that worked. So now we should be able to see whether or not we have a user in here. So if we just go to 9011 again. Okay, so we're in maintenance mode. So we know we're connecting to Postgres. We know the host, we know the port, we know the database. That's optional. FusionAuth credentials. Okay, so I need to give the database here. I don't know if I can do this via an API call. System, maybe? I'm not seeing anything in here for like this database credentials. But this might be the root one, right? No, this is a database super user username and password. Okay, so I love that this is just fully exposed. That's really cool. So if I do that and we start, this should, I guess this is going to create the tables in the database. Okay, create the admin user. Admin user, all one word? Yeah, that's all the normal stuff we just went through. That's all the response that we're going to get back. And then we're into retriever user. Okay. So now it said it was going to implicitly. Okay, so let me see. well, let me do this. Took me that. Sure. Fine, I have to do decent passwords. Okay, do I have that other user was not created. Okay, so that means the kickstart was not called. So this I wanted to run this thing, FusionAuth app kickstart file. Okay, FusionAuth API service system kickstart file configured but not found. User local FusionAuth config kickstart.json. That's okay, starting up normally. That's our problem. All right. And so we have in here. Okay, so let's exec in here and take a look at what we've got. We have Docker compose. I want to exec into auth. Then bash. I want to go into user local FusionAuth config kickstart. Oh. Yeah, okay. So there is nothing here. We have config, and then it just has one thing in here, but no kickstart. It didn't mount. I wanted to mount FusionAuth. Okay, mount FusionAuth kickstart to user local FusionAuth kickstart. That would be nice. I don't know why that didn't work. Did I do something wrong with this volume? We have local. We're running in this directory, so that's FusionAuth kickstart here. Oh, I have a config in there now too. Well, that's interesting. Okay. I'm going to remove that config because I don't think we want that. Because that's created. Oh, so if I had that, that means that at one point in time, the volumes was working. I wonder if I shouldn't be putting it inside of here because it's in another volume. I'm doing like a volume in a volume thing. I wonder if that's. I wonder if that's what was causing the problems. Okay, so I want to move FusionAuth config. Let's get rid of that. And let's try this again. All right. I usually end the streams around 1 o'clock. It's that's coming up in around 12 minutes or so. So I want to probably like one last. We'll go into the next ad break, and then I'll probably end at that point in time. Because I'm getting hungry and I want to go eat lunch. I also want to get like the kickstart part of this working, and then the next stream where we work on this project will continue with where we're leaving off here, which is getting Docker Compose all set up for like the applications. Okay, so auth is up and healthy. So theoretically, okay, so we're still at this point. That may or may not be a problem. But you are. Kickstart file configured but not found. Okay, so it's looking in here. No such file directory. Yeah, it didn't mount. I shouldn't be going into config. So wait a second. This is going into. Oh, well, that would explain it. So user local FusionAuth kickstart. Okay, I'm telling it to go to the wrong place. So get rid of that. And then I wonder if it's going to, hopefully it then runs at that point in time. Okay, DB up, waiting on auth. Auth is healthy. Okay, let's check you out now. Okay, so we're still in maintenance mode. And straight to FusionAuth starting. Okay, so this time the kickstart ran. And we have a user to begin with. Or, okay, no, never mind. No, we did that last time and I just forgot the order that things run in. Docker compose logs. Ooh, okay. All right, this time it found the kickstart. And we have some errors. Okay, so it found a kickstart file, error, invalid kickstart file, unable to parse the JSON, unexpected character, closing bracket, was expecting double quote to start field name. Where? So it's at the closing, which means I screwed something up at the beginning of something. At source string, cool. Oh, wait, line 8, column 6. Okay. Line 8. Huh. I don't have a validator for JSON in Helix right now, so we're gonna have to let's see. I don't really care about. No, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. I'll open up VS Code. You have one set up in yours. What are you using? Which JSON LSP are you using? Actually, you know what I should do? If I'm gonna go through the entire problem of doing that. Code, FusionAuth, Kickstart, that. Okay. Sure. Why not? Go ahead and install. Don't bother me. That's it. Trailing comma. VS Code link servers extracted? Oh, I haven't heard of that one before. Well, that seems pretty cool. All right, so was that the only problem? I think that was the only problem. So an API keys key. So if I save you quit. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, it's just all the working LSPs ripped out of VS Code. Don't know if it's in Homebrew. It's not. If it's not packaged in your distro, use npm install. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know they use a lot of VS Code ones by default. I didn't know that that's how you could do it. All right, we'll have to check a look at that. Check a look at that. Take a look at that. Sometime. So check out all VS Code LSPs for Helix, and then there is that. Okay, so removed you. Let's try this again. Yeah, Helix having all this stuff set up by default is really nice. It's why like we don't have to have like that. It's why I like using Helix is you don't have to do too much in the config. I think the problem I have with NeoVim is not that like there's just a bunch of one-liners and they're only one line. That's not too bad. It's more of there's just config fatigue with it, right? Okay, so you're all running it healthy. That's great. So if we come back to here, let's try you again. Okay, so we're in admin mode and I have to tell it how to connect into this. So I'm not exactly sure how to get around this one. Okay, so there's still a problem, I think. Okay, kickstart file, you may not use an undefined variable found env.account password, but this was not provided in the variable section. Okay, so I did environment variables wrong. Oh, and my Mac is at 10% power, so we're gonna have to end anyways because I left the power cable upstairs. Okay, so we're really close. I may not use an undefined variable. Wait. So in using environment variables, oh, it's capitalized env. Okay, got it. Capitalized env. So we do that. We try that. Give me a second, Diablo, and we'll take a look at that. All right. I'm running out of time to get this working before my computer shuts off because of low power. But let's take a look. So we got our your config toml for Helix. Yeah, it is nice. We're using insert for insert mode. Interesting. And semicolon for command mode. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I haven't done any key like sort of changing at all in Helix. I'm just using default. But it is nice. It's so simple. I almost don't want to look at that because it's so long. But okay, let's open this up. Yep. This is indeed a NeoVim config. We have programming in it. That's how you know it's a NeoVim config. All right. I think this was the last test for it because I am running out of power pretty fast. I'm down to 8% now. So let's just see if it worked because there's not really much I can do about it otherwise. Skimmis, hello. How are you doing today? You change your movement keys. They're like arrow keys with IJKL. The one thing modal people usually don't want to change. I mean, but you can, right? Hey, it works. Okay, so we're straight in. So we didn't have to go to the other thing now. So now we can log in using that email, that password that I created. Does it count? Uh-oh. What did I use in my what did I use as my password? Okay, so it's accounts. Your account does not have permission to access the FusionAuth admin interface. Please contact your system administrator. Okay, so this is the next thing we got to work on is giving ourselves permission to access the FusionAuth admin interface. Nice. Helix supports insert for mode cycling. I just set it to the order you expect it for a. Oh, wait. I never knew that. Hold on. Where's insert on my keyboard? I don't even know if I have an insert on my keyboard. Because it's a split keyboard and oh, there it is. Okay, so I have to go into function mode. Oh, I have to switch over to this. Okay, so I'm in function mode. I don't see it doing anything. So I guess I have to function enter instead. Okay. That doesn't do anything either. Yeah, so I don't know. I'd have to figure out what it is. And I'm not on a Mac keyboard. I'm on a Windows keyboard. It's just a split keyboard with insert hidden behind the function, well, key. So yeah, I mean, I have the insert key. I just don't know what it's doing with that. Unless, of course, I need to lock Zellage to do that. But no. Okay. So I don't know what to do with that. Anyways, I'm running out of power. I have 8% still, but not a great idea. So everybody, thank you so much for coming out today. Hopefully this was helpful, sort of playing around with some FusionAuth. For me, it's super helpful. It's like learning how all this works, figuring out how to like actually set up FusionAuth in a more DevOpsy way. We need to figure out how to make it so that our user is an admin of FusionAuth, which is going to be interesting. And then sort of like move on from there. But to me, this is all really helpful and good. So with that, I will be back next week for probably 2, maybe 3 streams. I don't know. My schedule has sort of been like up in the air a lot recently. So I'll come up with the schedule on the weekend and then I'll announce that into Discord before Monday. So sometimes on Sunday usually. So with that, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye.